Hello, welcome along to Transfer Talk. Marc Guehi will become a Manchester City player as Pep Guardiola's squad rebuild continues at pace. We'll have the latest on that move and all the day's other big transfer stories in the company of the European guru himself, Kevin Hatchard, and our reporter, Daniel Khan. Good to see you both, guys. Right, Marc Guehi might not only be the only big-name player set to leave Crystal Palace this month. Jean-Philippe Mateta is wanted by Juventus. Will he leave, though? Chelsea are in the market for a centre-back. They are in talks with Jeremy Jacquet over a move to Stamford Bridge. While the pressure mounts on Thomas Frank, will he still be in charge of Spurs by the end of the week? So hello to you all at home, and there's only one place to start, and that is Manchester City and the imminent arrival of Marc Guehi. Ben Ransom is at the Etihad Stadium for us. Afternoon to you, Ben. We'll get to Chris Nightingale shortly as well to get a Crystal Palace point of view, but they've acted quickly, haven't they, Ben? How close is this now?
Yeah, I mean, look, since we got the last update last night, it sounds like we're just waiting now for confirmation from the club. Certainly, Marc Guehi's medical, we're told, was completed without hitch. He was in his medical for a long time. He arrived here in Manchester yesterday morning, and he finally left the medical around 4:30 in the afternoon. So it was a fairly comprehensive one. At that stage, we were told that everything had been agreed. Essentially, it was just in the hands of the lawyers to make certain on those final parts of the deal before confirmation was put out. So we were perhaps expecting something by now, but I will just say Manchester City are on their way now to play a Champions League game in the Arctic Circle. They're flying off to face Bodo Glimt. They've got a press conference this evening and then a game tomorrow. So on that basis, perhaps we might be waiting just a little bit longer while the press team travel with the squad. But anyway, we'll wait and see on the announcement. I think what we can say for certain is that for Manchester City, it's a fantastic bit of business. Around £20 million for a player that captained Crystal Palace to their first ever major trophy, a player who was an integral part of England getting all the way to the final of Euro 2024, and a player that's grown in stature in the Premier League. And when a player of that quality becomes available in a January window, City have done really well to steal a march on all of his other potential suitors, both big clubs here in England and also big clubs right across Europe, to get Marc Guehi through the door in this window in the middle of a title race is a huge boost for the squad.
Yeah, I'm not sure Marc Guehi will be too disappointed to miss an away day in the Arctic. But in terms of Pep Guardiola's side and rebuild over the last few windows, they have spent heavily, haven't they? Do you think Pep will be happy with where his squad is now?
I think the thing with City is it's always a balance. You've got to look at, yes, they've spent heavily. I think since last January, the Guehi deal will take them over £400 million spent in 12 months. They obviously had what Pep's called many times an exceptional window last year when Rodri was injured. They spent big on the likes of Nico Gonzalez, Omar Marmoush, a couple of central defenders as well. Kusanov and Reish both came in. Well, that seems to be decent business now, doesn't it, when you consider how much of a role that Gonzalez has had to play this season as Rodri's been in and out the side. Kusanov was one of the few players to come out with any credit, to be honest, from the Manchester derby. He's looked a decent acquisition, and you then consider in the summer the sort of players that they got off the wage bill: Ederson, Kyle Walker, Kevin De Bruyne, Ilkay Gundogan, big earning players who are coming towards the end of their careers. City were able to move off the wage bill alongside making huge profits again. So in terms of PSR, they're very well run in that sense. They're not restricted. And then you look at the value of these players they brought in. Antoine Semenyo for just shy of £65 million and Marc Guehi for around £20 million. For two seasoned and talented Premier League players, that is great business. And also, it's been stressed to me by a number of sources here at City, these are players that are for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years. These are not panic buys in the middle of a window, in the middle of a title race. These are players that City have scouted for a long time. They like the fact they've stolen a march on their rivals to get them is a positive as far as the club's concerned. And when you look at the balance of the squad now, in Donnarumma, they got one of, if not the best goalkeeper in Europe. In Haaland, they've got one of, if not the best central striker in Europe. There are perhaps always a couple of pieces I'm sure Pep would like to add, but certainly adding Marc Guehi into a central defensive grouping that has the likes of Josko Gvardiol, Ruben Diaz, you'd say there's a lot of talent there, and Pep certainly believes that this squad can compete for this Premier League title, even though Arsenal are in the driving seat. And you can see where the moulding of this squad has been going in this rebuild over the last 12 months or so.
OK, thanks very much, Ben. So that is the Manchester City point of view. But how about Palace? Because they are going to lose their captain and one of their best players. Chris Nightingale is at Selhurst Park for us. Afternoon to you, Chris. And it's been a funny old few days, hasn't it? About to lose their captain. The manager's kicked off. He's not very happy at all. There's now confusion over his future. And there's talk possibly of their striker being let go as well if the right amount comes in. It all seems to have come to a head at once.
Yeah, afternoon, Matt. You're right. It's been a chaotic time for Crystal Palace over the past few days. Those comments in Friday's news conference ahead of the Sunderland game, the comments from Oliver Glasner after the Sunderland game, that defeat there. You think that the board would be confused by what he's saying, but they have come out and said they are backing him, despite him saying that he feels abandoned by them and having no support from them. They are going to support him. They want him to fulfil his contract here at Crystal Palace, because what he's done at the club has made him a legend amongst the fans. So they do want him to fulfil that contract and go out in a more dignified manner than maybe in January, in a couple of days' time. Who knows? But we know that he's an emotional manager. He's shown that in his time here at Crystal Palace and also at previous other jobs he's had in Europe. So he just needs the support at the moment and the backing of the board. The results aren't helping him. No win in 10. Sunday's match against Chelsea is going to be a big one for them. But in terms of transfers, as we've been hearing, Marc Guehi's move to Manchester City is nearing completion, and you wonder who they will bring in to take his place. We know they signed centre-back JD Canvo last summer. Is he an option to come straight into the starting 11? You can't really replace Marc Guehi, but you are going to need a centre-back to be in that position when the game comes on Sunday. But also their striker, as you've been talking about, Jean-Philippe Mateta. He has done such a good job here at Crystal Palace, but we know talks with him stalled last summer to extend his stay at the club with just 18 months left to go, and we know there is interest in him across Europe, most notably from Juventus. So it'll be interesting to see how the next few days pan out for Oliver Glasner and Crystal Palace. It's a big game on Sunday as they take on Chelsea live on Sky Sports.
Will be. Thanks very much, Chris. Right, so sounds like it's about to happen. This Guehi move to Manchester City. As soon as it is confirmed, you will know about it on Sky.